Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, as I stated in the Twitch stream, if you're watching that. There's been a week without an episode, just because I am so burnt out. Mentally, I literally have not recorded much in the last 3 weeks. I've been kind of hanging out in people's Twitch streams, one of them being Jenna, who does the Geeks and Garters, or Geek Responsibly podcast, which is also on Geekcast Radio, but you can find it in a plethora of other places, including her YouTube channel as well. I've been watching her stream, kind of hanging out in there, and so if you haven't checked that out, you can go to twitch.tv/Steve Megatron, and you can kind of find, I host a couple different channels. One of them is This Week in Geeks, Alex. I've been kind of playing around with this thing on Twitch, kind of trying to figure out how this thing works. Finally filled out my profile. I have no idea how to do this until this week. I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to kind of play around with. I'm kind of a noob there. It kind of reminded me of MySpace a little bit and how you set it up, as opposed to setting something up on a website for instance. It's got a lot of different coding mechanisms. So I've got my picture on there finally, my about me, my when I'm going live, my Twitter, who's following, and then, the social media and everything. I do have a Discord channel, which I will be recording in periodically or hanging out in during podcasts in the future. So if you'd like to join that, I have the link on my Twitch channel. So, there's that. The variety of games that I play on there, though, I'm kind of old school. A little bit in how I game. I don't really subscribe per se to the modern games. I play some, but I'm kind of an old school dude. I play the Star Trek Online. That's my pretty much go-to game whenever I want something quick and easy to go to. Plus, I've got 8 characters. Majority of them are totally maxed out. Have the ships that I care to have on those characters. Other ones I just kind of play around when they come out with new features, and I'll delete one and create a new one or something. But for the most part, that's kind of how I go. So I've been playing that. I've played the Batman Arkham series. Finally, now that Steam has the Arkham series on it, I've played Arkham Knight for the first time and beat it. And I skipped all the side missions just because I wanted to see how the game played.
It was really interesting to see the Joker back in the game. Oh, yes. And he wasn't dead either.
So it was kind of fun to hear him, Mark Hamill, reprise his role and show up. A lot of the game was pretty creepy, though. Like, it kind of reminded me of Arkham Asylum in that sense. Like, Arkham Knight or Arkham City didn't really creep me out all that much. Neither did Arkham Origins, but Arkham Knight kind of gave me the vibes and the kind of freak out factor of like Arkham Asylum, so it was kind of different for me there. Another game that I mentioned on my Twitch is Unreal Tournament, which I played in '99. My dad got a bootleg disc from somebody way back when that he worked with, and it was on a burned CD, so I played it. Nobody around there really got into it. I played the crap out of it, really enjoyed it, and kind of learned all the ins and outs. There were no cheat codes, you just had to kind of play it, so it was kind of interesting for me to learn, because I sucked at it to begin with. And then I bought 2004 when it came out for like $60 at Target or something, and then I bought Unreal Tournament 3 for $60. Oh no, Unreal Tournament 2004, I found it at KB Toys on discount for $14, that's right. I still have the disc for that somewhere. I might crack that out sometime and play it for the stream purposes, just for posterity's sake. I haven't played Unreal Tournament 3 in a while either. Unreal did come out with a new Unreal Tournament like a year or 2 years ago. It's basically Unreal Tournament 4. They kind of revamp and kind of go back to the original. It's a lot of fan community built setup and a lot of microtransactions, which honestly is better because I don't care to play or pay for games much anymore unless I can get them dirt cheap. Played a lot of the Transformers games. The War for Cybertron series, really good. And then the Devastation was really, really good. So I enjoyed those. I played DC Universe for a bit, kind of got bored with that. It's not really much going on there. It was fun, but it was a lot of microtransactions, a lot of, I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy it. I've played Star Wars Pod Racer. I was going to play that the other night on the stream, and unfortunately, I got to figure out how to dumb down my graphics card because the setup for it, it works, but the problem is that things don't show up right on the screen. It's really weird because it has in the past, and it's with like the most recent Windows update, it kind of quit showing up, and I'm kind of a little bit bummed on that because I was really wanting to play that game again. And then of course, like I've played the crap out of like Dragon Ball Z games in the past. I don't have any now, but I've been meaning to get some again. The Command and Conquer series, I have them all on Origin. I have Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 5 all on Origin. I have not played Battlefield 5 yet because every time I go to play, they've got an update, and I just don't have the patience to sit there and wait until it's done. Played the Mass Effect series, Diablo series. I've beaten all those. So yeah, I mean, I've played a lot of those, but my kind of some of my favorites are the retro DOS and Windows games. So like when you get into like things of like Commander Keen, Altered Beast, Desert Strike, the original Doom, Doom 2, Duke Nukem, Monuments of Mars, which people probably won't even remember that. Fit on a floppy. It was a 20-level game when you got the full version, and if you died, you start the whole stinking, thing over. It was horrible. Like the whole, it doesn't save progress. So it sucked. It was great, but it sucked. Then I played a lot of educational games when I was a kid too, like the Adventure Math or like Crayola Studio and things like that, which I found purposely so that I can have my kids try it. Oregon Trail, Jazz Jackrabbit, something I really enjoyed. Played Heretic, didn't really like that all that much. They had, I don't know if people remember, they used to have those discs. They would say like 101, only the best games, volume blah. And you could get them, and they were all demos of software and games. Some of them sucked, actually a lot of them sucked, and then a lot of them were decent. I would be curious to get my hands on something like that again, just so I could kind of go through and play them, or see if they would play. Just because that's how I used to play a lot of my games back in the day. I had like 5 or 6 of those different discs with a variety of games on them, and Trek knockoffs and everything else. Also used to play F-15 Strike Eagle 2, which I don't know if people remember that. That's like early 90s stuff there. Back when I had a 486 computer, 16 megabytes of memory. Now, minimum people need 16 gigabytes. But, back then it was 15 or 16 megabytes. It was a lot of fun to do that. And so I would play the game. We had this really crappy joystick, and it was like gray and cheap, and it was probably one of those $15 ones because it was around the time Microsoft had the Sidewinder 3D. So anyways, I had this, and it's I used to fly the game upside down and blow away the other enemy ships, and the shooting of the machine gun bullets looked like pixels. It had enough detail, but not enough. So it was still fun. And then when I went into flight sim when I was in 6th grade with a group of kids in our 6th grade trip to Canada, Niagara Falls, because I'm from the Flint, Michigan area, so it was funny when we went and did this. All the kids, nobody wanted to be paired with me because I was flying upside down, and they're like, "No, I'm not going with him. He's gonna get us killed. I want to win." Suffice it to say, by the end of the game, I won. I destroyed everyone because I flew upside down. I didn't get hit as much. Couldn't hit the cockpit. It was great. So, yeah, I'm wanting to play that game again. I cracked out the Q-Basic Gorillas, which I remember playing in the 90s as well, at school of all things. Somebody showed it to me during summer school, or day camp, not summer school. And so we played it, and you got to use the coordinates and everything else and blow away the other gorilla and the buildings with exploding bananas. You can actually download that on Android in the App Store, and I showed my kids that. And now, instead of punching the coordinates on the App Store one, you have to pull back your finger in the direction and at the angle, and how long the line goes is how much impact it has when it flies. So my kids really enjoyed watching that as the gorilla explodes on the other end. And so, yeah, I did that. Like there's Marooned on Mars, Mega Man X, Aladdin, Star Trek, the 25th anniversary game. I could never beat that. I had it, could never beat it. But again, those are things that I used to play. I'm sure there are other ones I'm forgetting, but those are like the main ones. Now, if we're talking Sega Genesis, I used to play like Sonic the Hedgehog series, Streets of Rage. Loved me some Streets of Rage. You can get that on the Android as well. Plays pretty much the way you'd think it would. They kind of turn the screen into a controller, and you've got this nice 4x3 build in the center of your screen, so you get the buttons and get the touch response on the screen. So it's still fun. I would prefer to play it on the PC and try it out. I'm gonna try and play some of these off of there's like a website called Classic Reload, which I'm going to try and play some of these games off of in some point in the future and see if they show up on the stream. I tried to do it the other day, but I didn't have my settings configured properly, so things just weren't showing up as I had intended. So again, I'm kind of playing around doing the podcast and the stream at the same time to kind of see how this goes. I've like I said, I've been wanting to get back into the streaming aspect, or at least try it out in a different capacity. I used to do YouTube videos, playing Battlefield 4. I tried a couple on Star Trek Online, and then I did Battlefield 1 when that was new. Through the alpha, the beta, the closed beta, or the closed alpha, the beta, the open beta, the origin access, and then when it launched, and then I kind of fizzled out on that because everybody was doing it. So it got to be kind of not really something that was going to get a lot of resonance, and so I kind of passed on it. So gaming aside, I mean, other than the fact that Apple and Google have both announced they're going to have different services for this stuff. I can't even fathom why this makes sense, but Google's got their setup. I forget what it's called. It's enough that I don't care, but I know that it's there. They're about to have this giant, streaming gaming throwdown between different companies, and Google's is called Stadia. I don't know, weird. And I just don't know. I definitely see the appeal in Google's Stadia in the sense that they're going to more or less capture the people that used to be on like the MSN Gaming Zone or Yahoo Games, which is essentially the predecessor to the smartphone app market, gaming market. I mean, that's basically what it is. So you're going to kind of see things go back in that direction again, which it's funny that people are saying that it won't work. Because back in the 90s and early 2000s, that's what we did. I mean, if you wanted to play chess online with people, or you wanted to play cards, or you want to play something on, the Microsoft Gaming Zone, that's what you did. I mean, you went on those services and you played games. But what they're trying to do, you know, every tech company now is trying to pull a Microsoft, and I don't think it's going to work out the way they think it is. You know, look, we've got Microsoft, we've got Sony, we've got Nintendo. Those are pretty much the main three contenders in this whole game. And as unfortunate as that is, I don't think it's going to do much. Like, I honestly don't. Like, I think we're kind of to this point where, you know, people have their game systems pretty much figured out if they're going to have them to begin with. And I don't think that, you know, Apple or Google coming out with this information is going to really make a difference. I mean, we've got Steam, we've got Origin, we've got some of these other gaming services that provide games, but, you know, we don't have the physical consoles other than unless you're going PC or something. But I don't think it's going to make a difference. And I'm kind of bummed on it, to be honest. Like, I really think that it would be interesting, but for them to come out and say that they have plans for this, you know, and Amazon's probably going to do the same thing too, to try and, you know, compete with the big boys in the gaming market, the triumvirate, the trio. I don't think it's going to make a difference. And I think that they're going to capture some of the market, but I don't think they're going to capture enough to matter. Because anything that Google or Apple does at this point is going to be the same thing that Microsoft could already have done, or Sony or Nintendo, or have already had in the plans. And so for them to come out with this news and then absolutely not show any games or any footage from their custom TV shows or custom games or any of this, I think it's kind of like a giant nothing burger, and it's a waste of time. And the entire internet's losing their crap over it, and it's not even worth the time. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about it. But it's kind of like this whole thing with 5G. I had to write an article recently for the website that I write for, and you know, I was doing research on 5G, and I'm like, everybody's talking about 5G, and it makes great sense why they're doing it. But nobody's going to be able to really take advantage of it for at least another year. You know, we've been hearing everything about every company coming out with their information of their own 5G communication system to replace 4G. And, you know, there's improvements of speed, reliability, coverage, you know, security, and the ability to kind of turn it on and off depending on, you know, what it's using. There's higher bandwidths. You know, 4G has 6 gigahertz, 5G has, you know, 30 to 300 gigahertz. You know, 4G has minimum downloads of 1 gigabyte. 5G has a minimum of 20. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. It'll make sense when they shift to it for streaming purposes or HD, especially with our current market. But only select cities are getting it. You know, Verizon is rolling it out to you know, like Chicago and Minneapolis and other larger high-profile cities, and it's going to be limited around their stores. So, and then, you know, they're going to have, you know, you pay additionally on top of the fee for an unlimited plan. You know, and they'll waive all charges and all this other stuff. There's going to be no throttling, unlimited of data speeds, you know, you can tether, hotspot, you know, without extra. You know, Sprint and T-Mobile have really, I mean, they have information. Their CEO is touting this information, but there's nothing really there. But they're planning on having it in a lot of, you know, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, you know, and then, you know, Houston, New York, Phoenix, Washington, D.C. But there's really no information on anything about their service. And AT&T has been throwing their 4G as 5G evolution, even though it's not 5G. And they've got it in a ton of different cities that are, you know, major cities. And then they're going to provide it to more this year. But they're expecting to have their nationwide 5G network in place by early 2020. So again, it's going to be another year before any of these people have it. You know, there's no specific pricing, claims, or anything else out there right now. And the smartphones that are out, you know, unless you have any of those new flip, smartphones, or you have any of the Galaxy S10 5G, or LG's first phone, the V5 Thing Q, or something that basically, if you're anything under $1,000 phone, you're not going to have 5G on your phone built in. You're going to have to spend the money. And so if you're a 4G user or somebody that can't afford those phones, you're going to be just stuck on 4G for the foreseeable future. So it's kind of, I don't know. I think that it's just another giant waste of time, to be honest. But what's not a giant waste of time? Batman has his 80th anniversary right now, and that's awesome. I remember when he had his 75th, we covered it on Geekcast Radio and had like a 5-year celebration. Reskinned part of the site. I went through all this extra effort. We had articles, we had podcasts, we had a spotlight. I got DVDs, comics, all kinds of stuff for review from DC, and it was awesome. And there's been a thread going that I've been connected to with Movie Revolt Dan and a number of other people in the industry, kind of going back and forth about, Detective Comics 1000 is out, 80 years of Batman, and then we've been kind of doing our top 4, list of our favorite comics, of Batman. And, The Dark Knight Returns pops up a lot. Year One pops up a lot. Killing Joke. Long Halloween's popped up a lot. Nightfall. Gotham by Gaslight. Batman Ego. Batman Mask. So I've seen a lot of different ones pop up. So it's been really cool, to be honest. Just seeing this thread kind of grow as the days go by. Now, if we're talking animated series, I'd have to say Batman the Animated Series, followed by Batman Beyond, and then it's kind of a tie between The Batman and Beware the Batman, because I enjoyed both to different capacities. But I said Beware the Batman, but I actually should have said The Batman, then Beware the Batman. But that's neither here nor there.
So, what shall we do? I don't know.
So yeah, I do plan on doing some voices on some future episodes of
not only the podcast, but the stream as well.
Kermit the Frog here. Yeah, I'm a nerd, so Kermit the Frog here. Yay! Yeah, so that's nerddom to its nth degree. So yeah, I can do Kermit. I can do
Saki, this is Crow. Where the devil is my new body?
So yeah, I can do Krang. I can do
the stairs the precious. Stupid habits.
Or under control, I might think. Yes. Megatron, terrorize. Ah, yes. Brave New World. It has such putzes in it.
Ah, yeah, it's still Joker's line.
I simply have a penchant for intelligent conversation.
Yeah, so I enjoy doing voices a lot, if you can't tell. Yeah, it's just something I enjoy doing. I used to do, a long time ago for Geekcast Radio, for the network openers before we had any famous people do it for us. I used to go,
GeekCastRadio.com presents Geekcast Radio on GeekCastRadio.com.
and then I would end it at the end of the song that I ripped from somewhere. It was probably Batman Beyond or something, but before we got our own actually paid theme song. And then I would go,
and now, your hosts, Steve Megatron Phillips and TFG1 Mike.
And then I would put like a vocoder effect on it. So it'd sound really cool when I do it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of playing around on this record, seeing kind of what I can do. Trying to get to my website so I can purposely find the I had a list of like voices I can do somewhere, but I don't know. Has anybody watched Dragon Ball Super, like the one with Brawly in it? That movie was awesome when I watched that. I had a lot of fun. Being that I saw the original first, this one had a much nicer take on the character and the villains and the heroes, and seeing Frieza kind of dive in there and instigate. So I really enjoyed that. There's a number of things I'm waiting for that are coming out this year, but so yeah, I'm gonna kind of toss this. I gotta go. I'm going to do some job interviews today since I've been unemployed for 2 months, which is rather unfortunate, especially with all I have done in the past. Apparently getting a job is difficult because nobody wants to talk. Whether it be on the phone or email, I've been ghosted. I don't know if anybody else has had that problem, but I've had that quite a bit, and it's a bit annoying, to be honest. So yeah, I'm doing a job fair later, so wish me luck. But I think next time I play on here on Twitch, I'm going to play a game, either Star Trek Online or Battlefield. And I've also been recording this podcast for some time, so if you want to check out my stream, you can go to twitch.tv/SteveMegatron. Otherwise, you can get the podcast and comment on it on geekcastradio.com. You can find all of the, when you go into the latest episode post or any of the episode posts, you can find all the ways to subscribe to this podcast without having to go anywhere else, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Android, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn. And then if you click more, it goes to the subscribe page, which will take you to the links of all of the podcasts on the network, whether it be the RSS feed. You can get Spotify if they've got them, which I do need to link those. There's iHeartRadio links for some of them too. So yeah, there's all that there and more. If there's anything that you guys would like me to talk about on the podcast or on the stream that you'd like me to cover or show, I don't know if anybody would want me to show how I do some of the graphics or edit, or my process or the mess of files that I have. Just let me know. I'd be interested in conversing. You can get a hold of me on Twitter at SCP21 or at Altered Geek. If you have anything that you'd like me to talk about throughout the week, you can use the hashtag What's Geeky to You. But other than that, until next time, thanks for joining me, and get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.
See you later, folks.